Thank you very much for joining me on News Desk. My name is Kwabena Aidoo. This morning on the program, we'll bring you more on the Atani Bridge closure. You recall yesterday, several hundreds of commuters were stranded at the banks of that section of the Volta River because they could not get across the river to their various destinations. We visited the area. We'll bring you some fresh updates. Also, we'll bring you more on the drivers in Kumasi who demonstrated in protest of what they described as police harassment. They say they will not offer their services till the police stops harassing them, and those are their words. And then also this morning we discussed the threat of Ebola. I'm sure you may have heard of the disease being in some West African countries and threatening its neighbors. Considering we have a free movement pact with our within the West African bloc, we are asking what the threat could be to us. You want to stay on for that discussion. If you don't know what Ebola is, because I will bring you up to speed exactly what Ebola is. Don't forget also, you can share your thoughts with me on our social media platforms. Joynews on TV on Facebook, Kwabena Aidoo on Facebook as well. Or I tweet at Kwabena and at Joynews on TV. I'll be so glad to share your thoughts with the rest of us here on News Desk. Let's get into our first matter of the day. And the ranking member on the Legal and Constitutional Affairs Committee of Parliament, Salifu, says he does not see the value in repealing the clause that gives power to the University of Ghana to restrict access to the facilities of the school. The Bekwai MP maintains any attempt to repeal that clause will be a populist reaction to the issue. He's joined us over the telephone. He would help us understand his stance. Thank you very much, Honorable, for joining us.
You're welcome.
You against this, you say if it goes ahead, it will be a populist, it will take a populist form. Elaborate on this.
Well, what is it that is the issue of the university? The University of Ghana Act empowers it to regulate entry and exit and use of their facilities. Now, they have exercised that power to determine that one of their gates, that the main entrance to the university, should be open to the public to enter and exit. The remaining entries will be regulated by way of administering tickets for those who wish to use that at a fee. The only controversy there now is the cost of the sticker, the fee that is being charged. Is that an issue that would merit an amendment of the University of Ghana Act? In any case, who are those complaining about the sticker fee? I see two categories of them. Those parents who have their children in the university and who necessarily must go in and out of the university probably 5 times a week. Those group of people have a choice to have the fee being charged on them reviewed. The other group is those who want to use the university route as a convenient shortcut to their respective destinations. There are routes all around the university to go anywhere or any part of the city of Accra. If you find the the use of the university premises as the more convenient alternative, then I suggest that you must be prepared to pay for that convenience. And it should not be open to anybody come and say that the cost of that convenience is too much. Apart from the Ferry, I will not suggest that any review is necessary. I suggest that this is not a reason for changing the law. The law empowers the university to regulate the facilities. The roads of the university are only one of the facilities. The halls have to be regulated. Who goes into the halls of residence? The lecture rooms, the libraries, the science laboratories, and other facilities. The use of them must be regulated. And if we take out that power as being suggested, what we're doing is leaving the university back without management. Indeed, if you take that power, to whom are you going to give the management of the university?
Right. So, in your opinion, what would be the way around this? Because the university is also located within a community of people.
Right. The university is located within a community, you're right. And that's why roads are being provided all around the university. The latest one, the university actually ceded part of its own land to the government to construct a road between the University of Ghana and Gimpa to give access to those who are living in that kind of Accra to commute. So the university has no responsibility to provide a shortcut to people living around. And I don't think it would be fair to demand that of the university.
But wouldn't that also be as though the university is an island on its own? Therefore, it does not take account the people who live around it, the communities around it. Because the issue now has been the cost involved in accessing the routes within the university.
There are alternative routes. Why don't those living around them use the alternative route? Is it not because they find that it will be cheaper and more convenient to use the university? But shouldn't we guard against the university becoming an open thoroughfare?
Right. We'll leave it here for now. Thank you very much for joining us.
You're welcome, man.
Right. Joe Sewusu is Member of Parliament for Bekwai. Now, let's try and understand this. If the restrictions are taken away, what then does it mean for the university? We are joined over the telephone by Dr. Maurice Ampao, who is he's founder for Legal Advocacy Foundation, also a private legal practitioner. Thank you very much for joining us, Dr. Ampao, over the telephone.
Thank you very much. This is to your cherished viewers.
Absolutely. Now, a motion has been moved to remove or repeal the restriction clause as far as the University of Ghana Act, the act that establishes the University of Ghana, is concerned. Try and educate us on what this could mean.
Oh, I think what this means is that Parliament, once again, as a lawmaking body, is trying to accept itself of trying to review or amend provisions of the law that they think it is not in the best interest of the public, or they want to serve a more purposeful interest by ensuring that the public interest supersedes any other interest. So by moving this motion to amend the provisions of the law is a way by which Parliament is trying to say that, look, when it comes to law, we are the law unto ourselves. Although in law, the law is in the bosom of the judge, and when it comes to making of the law, we are sovereign and we can decide to do anything that we want to do once we don't infringe upon the rights and then the provisions of any constitution in the Republic of Ghana.
Right. Now, going beyond cast tickets so you can access the various routes within the school, if this restriction clause within the act that establishes the school, the university, is repealed, what does it mean for the administration of the school?
What it means is that then they must start negotiating with stakeholders. They must now begin to accept the rights of the public to use that place because to me, as I've already said, that the university acted in a way that instead of accepting their right to restrict the use of the facility, they sat down their right, allowed the public to use that right, and now the public in law have gotten what we call the right of easement or prescription, which means that now it's very difficult for the university now to come once again to say that, look, they are going to accept their right, which they've already allowed the public to use that place. So what it means is that now the law is going to allow access to the public to use it, but the same way, I'm sure the law also will take into consideration the security concern of the university and then the issue of, let's say, not abusing that right of way.
How can this affect the running of the school? I mean, from where you sit as a lawyer.
Oh, I don't think it will affect the running of the school. I think what rather is to strengthen them now to come out to a better way of managing the school in terms of security-wise, in terms of trying to do what is right. Because to me, I think that the university, after government taking up the responsibility of being the debt and then stopping them from the tool, acted in bad faith by implementing the state policy. So this bad state is what Parliament is now seeing and going to address it. that if at a university don't act in a manner, in a bad faith, where you once one policy is defeated, then quickly you bring another policy to achieve the same end. This is what Parliament is fighting against, and I think it is good for the good people of Ghana. And the university must once again sit down and do things properly by applying the law that will be in the interest of all, but not in the interest of those who are managing the university and the chief section of members of the staff. The public interest overrides anything, and that is what Parliament is trying to do.
I see. The other argument is the fact that the total repeal of the restriction clause may just give undue access to, you know, just anybody to the school. And I want to find out from you, being a lawyer, can we have selective restrictions then? Could it be a way around this?
You see, the fact that the public have access doesn't mean that they have access to go and commit crime, to go and abuse that access. There are laws governing trespass, there are laws governing crime, there are laws governing unauthorized use of places. So these laws are still there. If you go to the campus and go and do things that are not authorized, the law of trespass will catch you. And then if you also use the place to go and commit crime, the criminal law will catch you. So there are constitutional and legal regimes to still protect the university from being invaded or from being abused, or people taking advantage of the repeal of the law to go and commit crime. There are still legal regimes to take care of those things. So I think there's no cause for alarm.
I see. For lack of a better word, when this is repealed, what would it do to the power of the university?
Nothing will happen to the power of the university. The university powers are still intact. What it is doing is the advice is that, look, Parliament is the lawmaking body of the country. Every law is subject to parliamentary approval. And once the lawmakers have realized that, look, this clause is being abused, this clause will not serve the interest of the larger public. They have the right to repeal it. This is not the first time they've amended the repeal laws. So the university authorities' power will not be taken away from them, or their power is still intact. They are still managers of the university, and so be it.
We'll leave it here for now. Thank you very much, Dr. Ampao. Dr. Maurice Ampao is a legal practitioner. He's also founder for the Legal Advocacy Foundation. And now we've been talking about the fact that the University of Ghana, I'm sure you remember, introduced the stick-up billing system. This system was supposed to help reduce the amount of traffic or the thoroughfare within the school. But it's met a lot of public outcry. People are not happy about it. They feel the cost involved is just unbearable, and this is where it's got us to. Parliament, motion has been moved in Parliament to repeal the restriction clause as far as the act that establishes the university is concerned. You're watching News Desk. Leave your comments on our social media platforms. Joynews on TV, on Facebook, on my personal page on Facebook, Kwabena Aidoo, or tweet at Kwabena or at Joynews. I'll be so glad to read your thoughts with the rest of us here, and I'll be right back as well. I'm glad you could stay on. You're still watching News Desk. And we'll move on to a second issue of the day. Commercial drivers operating between Kumasi and Adjussu in the Ashanti region are accusing the police of harassment and extortion. The drivers complain the police arrest them indiscriminately, even at authorized bus stops, for all manner of flimsy reasons. The drivers, out of frustration, demonstrated in Kumasi metropolis to draw attention to the applied inconvenience in commuters and the process. In case you missed the action on Monday, here's a report by Mahmoud Mohammed Nuruddin.
The aggrieved drivers refused to work on Monday and rather chose to demonstrate at Tech Junction to register their displeasure. Some of the drivers were on the streets to ensure their colleagues do not break ranks and weaken their front in the process. Our cameras captured some of them who tried to forcefully offload passengers. It took the timely intervention of the police to disperse the drivers. About 3 drivers were arrested by the police, but that did not stop them. at the Tech Junction, where most of the drivers were gathered, Churchill drivers going about their business were made to explain why they were not complying. Some of the drivers spoke to Joynews.
Adia police for you, Kumasi, I say, no ordering. So, what you can pass out man, and now they can't ever flee. Yes, you are hearing man. You should maybe a cab driving working on. But be a bit of a Seattle. If you are just on the background, so we not take that in far. Yes, Seattle. If you come never, who's also come my Yato. Who will do 10 dances, so a bus stop on us, or much in 3. So, police only be a private car. One side. And then you're not playing now, Kubasio. And you plan to be an arm traffic walk. A crime, and your chance was 1 million, 2 million, and I'm not going to come on. But when you have to have a court, court is your 5 million, 6 million. So it's 7 million, and I'm coming my police in the Richard Joso. I can't say, we don't have 1 million. I'm going to go to America. Why have them face mask? I'm going to you. The German party are movies, and why you know? Who are them 1 million? You work out. Yabre. You ever see me already? Ever see? You see quite. Yeah, car is saying, you're parking a cash. Police in the bar. You have a chili tobacco. You have a chili tobacco. You have a cop. Shut us, anybody.
Meanwhile, commuters were left stranded at Tech Junction as there were no commercial vehicles to carry them to the Central Business District. Godwin Okumanyame is the Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly's Public Relations Officer.
We can create a terminal at in all the locations within the metropolis. I don't think so. I think there are procedures that we follow. If you come to KMA, we have the Transport Commission, which engages transport or commercial transport operators when there's a need for us to, establish or create a station somewhere. So basically, I think all that they have to do is to go through the due process by engaging the Transport Commission of the Assembly for them to see the possibility if there's an area around the Tech Junction as to where that station can be created. But I think specifically today's demonstration, well, I don't know, today's demonstration was not directed to the KMA, but rather to the police.
Efforts to speak with the police were unsuccessful. Mahmoud Mohammed Nuruddin's report from the Ashanti region.
Those were some unhappy drivers, but that was Monday. Pretty shortly, you will go over the telephone and get a quick update on this. But most of you are commenting already on our posts on Facebook. Bonti Benjamin says, Bonti Benjamin, who is reaching us from Adabraka, says it's a step in the right direction and they should be encouraged until they get the best outcome. And Ahial Lewis says this is a very good step the drivers have taken. The government should try to do something about this. Constance Agbedianu Gatuso says they should allow them to carry on with the demonstration because unwillingness of the public to expose criminals and wrongdoers are the major causes of corruption in our country, Ghana. Nwakpa, God knows, Billy says, check your facts well. Are they protesting against the presence of military personnel or against the police? I am very sure, Billy, we have those facts right. And I'm sure you know by now that we really had those facts right. But let's go over to the telephone now and speak to Ashanti Regional Man, Mohammed Nuruddin. Thank you very much for joining us over the telephone, Mahmoud.
Thank you very much, Kamini.
What's changed about the situation today?
Kamini, drivers are working today, and we have been told that the leadership of the drivers have asked them to go back and they work as the police continue to look into their grievances. But we've been trying to speak to the police, but we haven't got in touch with them. So for now, they are working. Drivers are
so we could say it's calm in Kumasi.
Yes, Kamini.
Right. They also had concerns with the mayor of the Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly. Thereby, they gave a 7-day ultimatum for the KMA to address the situation. What has changed about that now that you're working?
Did you say the drivers have a concern?
Yeah, they also raised some issues with the KMA, the Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly, where they accuse the mayor of corruption. And the question I'm asking is, now that they are back to work, earlier they had given a 7-day ultimatum, or else they would block all routes, and now I'm asking, they are back to work. Has that changed?
Okay, Kamini, what I know is that the drivers were demonstrating because of what they claim the police, they allege the police are extorting money and harassing them on the road. But some of the issues that they also raise is about the terminal, the bus stops where they were created for the drivers, and they are saying police, though those bus stops were created for the drivers, the police don't allow them to stop and then, carry passengers or upload passengers. So that is the grievances they have raised about the Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly. And yesterday, we spoke with the PRO, and he has stated clearly that the KMA would do everything possible to get the matter, to get a solution to the matter.
Very well. We also know that some 3 persons were arrested. What's the update on these 3 persons, the drivers who were arrested?
Yeah, we have been speaking with some of the drivers at the station, but they haven't been able to tell us what has happened to those 3 persons. We are trying to get in touch with the police. Like I said earlier, we've been trying since yesterday to speak with the police and then find out their side of the story. But up to now, we haven't gotten in touch with the police. And we are thinking that today, if we get in touch with the police, we'll find out about all these issues.
What do we know about where these men were taken to?
Well, from where I was, where the incident occurred at Tech Junction, they were drove towards the Tech police station. But we don't know if they have been taken to the Sandra police station. That's why it's very important that we get in touch with the PRO. But up to now, we haven't gotten in touch with him. We are told yesterday we spoke with him, and he said he was busy somewhere and he'd get back to us. And up to now, we haven't gotten in touch with him.
Right. Thank you very much, Mahmoud. Mahmoud Mohammed Nuruddin joined us from the Ashanti region with an update on the drivers who demonstrated Monday in protest of what they described as police harassment and extortion. We understand that their leadership has spoken with them and they have gone back to work. And I also go back to reading some of your comments on this same matter. And Samuel Bedra says that is a good step for the drivers. They should continue the demonstration. I'm sure they just burst your bubble because they are back to work. Abdul Razak says corruption everywhere in Ghana. Meanwhile, Jabulani Kadiago Salman says they shouldn't block the routes. They should rather solve that problem amicably. After all, 2 wrongs can't make right. Peter Soka comments, the driver in Kumasi should produce evidence of corruption against the mayor for possible arrest. If not, they should stop those arguments. Nanado Richard Wise says the roads are not for commercial drivers only, and so they should never try to block them. But they can park their cars if they think they are being cheated. Meanwhile, Ababa Skoy says Ghana is becoming a lawless state. Justice Johnson comments they have the right to demonstrate. And finally, Kudus Timite says they have the right to demand for their rights. They should go on. We shall always support them. Those are your comments on Facebook. Keep them coming in. Joynews on TV on Facebook. And I tweet at Kemini or at Joynews on TV. I'll be more than glad to share your thoughts with the rest of us here. To come on the program, we discuss Ebola. I was telling you earlier, Ebola has killed a a virus believed to be Ebola has killed up to 61 people in Guinea alone, and there is threats for surrounding countries like Sierra Leone and Liberia. But considering the free movement we have on this block of the world, I mean ECOWAS, we're discussing the threats to us as a Ghanaian people as well, and how we are being protected from this, and understanding the Ebola virus itself. And when I return, we'll get into that discussion. Don't go away. If you just tune in, this is News Desk with me, Kemeni Nyamani Amano. Now, officials operating the St. Chief Ferry have debunked media reports that the breakdown of one of the ferry was as a result of mechanical faults it had developed. Speaking to Joynews, both sector ministers, Alhaji Aminu Suleimana and Member of Parliament for Isujaman Kofio Sayameyao attributed the temporal breakdown to human error and not mechanical faults.
The pontoon takes only 200 passengers at a time. But what happened yesterday, we had in excess of 500 people that added to the weight, and because the river level had gone down, the ferry went down, and so when it was landing, it hit the dock, the wharf or the quay, and then broke the chain, so it couldn't work. So it is not as though there is a mechanical error. It's because the weight that the people are putting on the pontoon as a result of non-payment of a fare by the human beings is reduced the ferry into a marketplace.
There were holiday makers around. A lot of people were coming to, tour on the ferry. And because of that, and if we load even a little vehicles together with the holiday makers, it makes the boat unable to land. The problem mostly has to do with the level of the water. But we worked, even with that, when the one ferry got broken, we restored it by about an hour. After it was restored we worked till 10 p.m.
It has a limit that it can carry, plus the human beings and the vehicles, the weight limit. So if we are unable to regulate it, we certainly will have a disaster. So because we are coming with regulations to regulate pedestrians who are just walking into the pontoon. We will issue a ticket so that at any time we can account that there are this number of people. And for the passengers on the vehicles, we don't charge them. But those who just take the light of walking in and to just have fun, we'll have to account for you. In the event that there's something, we know the number of people who are involved. When the passengers come in, the vehicles, the drivers know the number of people they are carrying. So we will soon regulate that.
Let's get more on this. We'll speak to Kofio Sayameyao. Kofio Sayameyao is Member of Parliament for Isujaman. Thank you very much for joining us on News Desk, Kofi.
Thank you.
Right, so you visited the area yesterday. Tell us your observations.
Yesterday, when we went to St. Ferry site, we observed that the two pontoons or ferries were working, and traffic had subsided. But from the market women, they believe that, I think one of the radio stations made an announcement that the ferries had broken. And as a result of that, the drivers were avoiding using the ferry and had taken to the Sugakofe road. So traffic was light, although there was still no audit of passengers who were entering the ferry. So that is an outstanding issue concerning the weight allowable for passengers. And also, you would recall that on Sunday, the ferry had broken down as a result of the weight, and then also the water level that had dropped, that created that little accident which rendered that boat unusable. The minister came and had resolved that the president will be at the ferry site tomorrow. And hopefully we'll be able to drop the ferry fare to about 4 or 5 cities. Correct. Right now I cannot confirm exactly how much they are considering dropping the fare. Then also they are also considering getting passengers who are not in vehicles to pay, so that at least the ticketing would serve as an audit as the number of people who are entering the boat, to avoid in case of a disaster, to avoid not knowing exactly who had lost their lives or who had injured themselves. So in that respect, I believe that we are on course, but time is of the essence. So we must expedite these actions so that the people will be relieved, their vehicles will come, and then the traders would be able to go about their trading activities and get the reward that they've been getting from when the Atani bridge was operating. But otherwise, the false alarm by some of the radio stations as to what was happening created a problem for the traders. But otherwise, when we went there, the situation had normalized. I see. And everything was fine.
What response did you get for why the pontoon was given more weight than it actually can carry?
In fact, the minister admitted that that was not right and that they have to correct it, and they will correct it through ticketing. And that also they must observe the weight limit that those who manufactured the boats or the ferries had stated that we should observe. So
do you know why they were doing that in the first place?
Well, their argument was that when the bridge was operating or when the bridge was being used, passengers or people could cross from one end to the other without paying any fare. So it is not fair for the same people wanting to cross the river to pay. And that was the rationale. But what has happened is that the traders have taken over the boats and are trading on the ferry. And so that is creating the problems because they are not paying for it. Everybody jumps on it as if they are on a joyride.
And what do you think about this practice, you personally?
I've stated it unequivocally that that is wrong, and that safety, we must make sure that we comply with the safety regulations to avoid any imminent accident or disaster. So for me, I don't think we can toy or we can play around with safety issues. So for me, I think we should, even before the ticketing, we should make sure that we do head count and make sure that the people who enter the ferry are 200 in number, so that we observe the weight requirement that they've given us to avoid any accident. And so I'm hoping that tomorrow we'll be able to resolve those issues, and Thursday or Friday, or as soon as practicable, we would implement that requirement so that we can prevent the loss of human life as well as property.
I see. And that's why you tell us the president will be visiting the area tomorrow?
Well, obviously, yes. There's an issue there because I understand the president was even in favor of getting a military bridge, which would have been an easier proposition than the ferry. So if he said there is issues or there are issues concerning the closure of the bridge and the reopening of the St. Ferry project, then I think as the head of state, he has every right to see or to observe for himself firsthand what is happening on the ground.
And to that effect, if he's coming, would assist us in resolving all the issues so that we go about our normal lives without any hitch, then I guess that is in the right direction. And I'll commend him for taking the initiative to come. In fact, I think it is even well overdue.
And so, Kofi, without the presence of the president, there's very little we can do.
Oh, I didn't say that.
Tell us what we could do.
That is why the president is coming. And I say, well, we must commend him, because if he wants to leave his busy schedule aside and come,
Kofi, that was what you said.
This is a problem.
Kofi, that was what you said at the beginning of the conversation when you said the president was going to be there so that we'll see how we can slash the fares being charged at the ferry. So
obviously, the minister was there yesterday. He couldn't do it, could he? And obviously, I cannot do it.
And that's why I'm asking.
If it doesn't take the president to do it, well, I'm happy that something is being done.
I see. So there's very little we can do without the presence of the president.
Well, there's very little I can do in terms of instructing or directing people to observe weight limit when I don't have any control over their boats.
Right,
and if the minister cannot do it, I mean, then the president is coming. I'm hoping that he will do it.
I see. Kofi, we'll leave our conversation here. Thank you very much for joining me on News Desk. Kofi Osei is Member of Parliament for Isujaman. We've been talking the Adome Bridge closure and the stories that have come out of there. He says that indeed the pontoon broke down, but it was as a result of human error because the ferry was overloaded. And that's where we ended our conversation. He says the president will visit the area tomorrow, and hopefully there will be a slash in the fare as far as ferrying across the river is concerned. I'll read some of your messages shortly, but let me tell you quickly about what Ebola is. Now, the first outbreak of Ebola fever in the West African nation of Guinea has killed at least 61 people and may be spreading into nearby countries. Now, some reports also say that the virus tested in Guinea is not Ebola, but there are some 5 cases that are suspected to be. Nonetheless, there is a fatal virus, and there are fears that it threatens the neighbors of the country Guinea. Now, early reports of 3 cases in Conakry, that's Guinea's capital, were unfounded. Now, there were reports of patients with symptoms in both Sierra Leone and Liberia, but no laboratory confirmed those cases. An Ebola expert with medical aid group Doctors Without Borders has said the dead include some workers who treated early cases. Most Ebola outbreaks have been in Central African countries. The first in 1976 in Zaire, now the DRC, killed 280 people. The most recent in 2012 in Uganda is thought to have killed fewer than 50 people. The outbreak in Guinea, they say, is the Zaire strain, which has a 90% mortality rate. Death is caused by fever and internal bleeding. Human outbreaks usually start after hunters eat the carcass of an ape that died of Ebola, possibly after eating fruit contaminated by the bats. But in Guinea, where people feed off bats, they believe that they could have picked up the virus directly without having to go through the ape bits. Pretty shortly, we'll try and get this more. This is just a lot of grammar. We'll try and break it down and get more on this Ebola virus and how we can protect ourselves here in the country, considering the free movement of goods and people across our block here. But well, I believe I've read most of your messages already. Let me just add a few more as far as commercial drivers in Kumasi are concerned. Let me share that with you briefly. Well, and I'm having a situation with the iPad. Sometimes technology can just mess up. But I told you, it's just messing up. But I'll just recap while I'd wait for the iPad to stop acting up. And then today on News Desk, we have been discussing a number of issues. We just ended a conversation on the Adome Bridge closure. We engaged the Member of Parliament for Isojaman Kofi Osei Ameyao, who told us that President John Dramani Mahama hopefully will visit the area, and he's looking forward to a slash in the fares as far as using the ferry is concerned. He's also said that the breakdown of the ferry was not due to mechanical faults, it was rather human error because the boats were overloaded. But the best part is measures have been put in place to check the overloading of the boats, and that measure is ticketing for both those who are going by foot and those who are going by vehicle. So that was it for the Adome Bridge. And then we discussed motion in Parliament that is looking at repealing the restriction clause in the act that establishes the University of Ghana, and we've looked at it. If this goes through, what would it mean for the university? We spoke to Dr. Maurice Ampa, who is a legal practitioner as well as founder for the Legal Advocacy Foundation, and he said this will change nothing about the power of the school, and he's blamed the university for having sat on their capabilities for such a long time, and this is the kind of result you get when you do that. But this changes nothing about the power of the university. Then we also did an update on the drivers in Kumasi. You recall Monday they hit the streets. They were protesting what they had described as police harassment and extortion. They say the police would just arrest them even if they were parked in the right place, even if they were at authorized bus stops. And the update was that though they had told us they would stay off duty, they wouldn't be working for as long as the police continue to do that. Their leadership has spoken with them and they have gone back to running their businesses, and calm has returned to the area. However, the police is yet to comment on this matter. Hence, we are unable to tell you where the 3 drivers who were arrested Monday amidst the chaos are, but we will try and do that in subsequent broadcasts. Then we spoke about Ebola virus, the fact that a virus strain in Guinea is said to have some similarities with Ebola. Earlier, it was thought to be the Ebola virus, but now reports say it is not the Ebola virus. But if it's fatal, if it has high mortality as to killing 61 people already, would want to know here in Ghana, considering we're in the same West African bloc, we want to know what this could mean for us, our free movement of goods and people. But we are unable to do that because we have run out of time. We'll get into that in subsequent broadcasts. You want to stay on for that on how you can protect yourself. Thank you very much all the same for your comments. Those of you who sent them in and I read. Those I couldn't read, I'll do so next time. But I'm even more grateful you stay through the hour on News Desk. My name is Kwabena Aidoo, and I'll see you again at midday on News Today. Enjoy the rest of our broadcast.